What is the one thing that you couldn't do without in your life? It might be parents, it might be family, it might be a relationship, it might be your phone. There's all sorts of things it could be. But it's a question I've been asking myself a lot over this past 12 weeks or so, as the majority of stuff has been stripped away. All those things I'd use to distract myself, like coffee shops, going to pubs, all of those things have, and being able to see people have been stripped away. And as I look in the Bible at some of the characters that as Christians we often look up to, I see that there's a common theme. There is one thing that they could not do without, and one thing that they feel that all of their strength, all of their power, and everything amazing that they have done, and everything amazing that has happened to them, every blessing they've had, comes from King David, who is often seen as this person who had huge amounts of wealth, who had huge amounts of wisdom. If he was around now, he would possibly be the sort of person that would be running Tesla or Microsoft or Apple or something like that. He has all of the foods that you could possibly imagine. He lives a life of luxury, and yet he clearly says that the one thing that he could not do without is not any of those things. It is the presence of God in his life. A similar story with Moses. The majority of his story, we see him freeing his people from exile, and then we see a long period where he's in the desert before heading towards the place that they've been promised all along, the promised land, the land of milk and honey, it is described of, the land of freedom for them. And yet he says that he would rather stay in the desert, which they've been complaining about a lot, by the way, than be in the promised land if it means being away from the presence of God. And I believe there's one reason for this. If you look at the world before the fall, it is a world where people have no shame, there is no suffering, there is no pain. And yet if you look at the world after the fall, the world is full of shame. The world has good moments, but it also has huge amounts of suffering, the likes of which what we've seen over the last 12 weeks is just the tip of the iceberg. This feeling of disconnection that we've had with people is a result of the fall. What is the main difference between before the fall and after the fall? What could possibly be causing this? Yes, there is sin, but the thing is, what sin has caused is a separation between us and the presence of God. The first question that God asks after man sins and that separation happens is, where are you? Where are you? The closeness with God has gone, and as a result there is pain and suffering in the world. And so what these characters are saying when they say that the one thing that they could not do without is that they recognize that actually everything good, everything that we could possibly need stems from being in the presence of God. So I go back to that question, what is the one thing that you think that you could not do without in the world? And maybe it is coffee, maybe it is that relationship that you're in. But what I want to challenge you to do, maybe over the next week, is just spend some time each day in the presence of God, asking for more of the presence of God. And I think the more that we do this, the more we will see contentment in our lives, the more we will see peace, and the more we will see suffering, pain going from the world, and the more we will see joy.